Hey, you guys, one more thing before we go. I'm gonna play this video and we'll get out of here. We'll give our final thoughts on it.
My mother told me, she said, you never hit a man where he's weak. Never. It could be true, it could be real, but you don't hit him where he's weak because it'll turn around on you. You can get him to do what you need him to do, but you never hit a man where he's weak because they never forget it. It lives with them. And so I know what his weaknesses are. He don't know I know they're there. Because I don't mention them, don't talk about them, and I talk about my weaknesses all day long.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, and yeah, this is actually last call. Um, when people uh decide to poke at some your insecurities, let's just call it insecurities because that's a form of weakness. When someone starts to poke at that person is not going to forget, especially men. I'm going to remember when you bring up something that I was vulnerable enough to reveal to you, or if that's something I'm just trying to keep in the tuck or keep in the dark because I'm not ready to talk about it yet, but you keep poking at it, we're just never going to forget. And decisions, certain decisions will be altered because of your choices that you make. So one thing I want to implore everybody, I know that's Judge Lynn uh, advice from my mother on how to treat men. I can say that about anybody. If I know you got an insecurity, Christopher J is not going to talk about it. I won't even acknowledge it. I will open the floor. I will let you get comfortable so you could, if you do decide to voice it, my 2 ears are available. But poking at somebody's weakness, it's like at the end of the day, for what? What are you trying to get out of this? Now, if you're trying to make someone better and make someone stronger, that's worth the conversation, and I agree to that. But you're just doing that for shits and giggles, there's going to be a problem, a severe problem. And like I said, men just don't forget. Kaba, what's your take on that?
I mean, that's absolutely correct. And unfortunately, you hear that happens a lot, in relationships, usually in an argument, I mean, even Bill Burr brought it up in one of his stand up routines about how he was losing every argument because when she started to lose the argument, she would bring up something he's sensitive about. You know what I'm saying? And so, which would cause him to, call her out her name or something. And then now all of a sudden you're arguing about something different. Why'd you call me that name, this, that, and the third? So, um, you see those tactics on social media too. If you revealed something, that a woman thinks they could use against you, typically
Mhm.
what they'll do is they'll try to throw that in your face to throw you off your square, you
Right.
know? So, it seems like a mostly female tactic. It's like I'm losing the argument. What can I do? And it's just a Hail Mary to try to screw you up. So um yeah, so it's too bad that people will bring that into their relationships. Someone tells you something in confidence and then, you throw it back in their face when you try to because you want to manipulate them into doing something or thinking, try to get them to think a certain way. You know what I mean? It's really messed up. So yeah, no man's gonna forget that. Because
Right.
let's be realistic. If men had a habit of doing that, women wouldn't forget it either. You know?
And I remember my first year on Clubhouse. I would never forget this moment. I don't. It had to be season two, whatever year I came on Clubhouse. Of course, I was in Bring the Smoke, King Chicago's room. Now King Kentucky is. Of course, plenty of rooms, hundreds of rooms since then, where we talk about how it's not a good idea for a man to be vulnerable because women will lose respect for you. That was the talking point back then. Well, I'll visit that talking point at a later date or time. But one guy decided to open up about what was going on, and I came out the mic like, bruh, don't do it. Do not do it. You're not in a room full of hyenas. You're in a room full of sharks. Like, don't do that. Do not bleed on the stage. because the women that we have, at least it's a representation of most women from each walk of life, and the commonality is your respect will diminish by every single tear that you drop. He still wanted to do it. I said, okay, go ahead. He opened up on that stage. Every woman on that stage clowned him miserably. And I literally felt bad for this guy. Now, I came off my mic and said something that I won't repeat. Because we're cool. For the most part, that was back then. We're cool now. They understood where I was coming from. They sometimes people don't know how far I can take it. Like I have a careless attitude when it comes to my tone. But when it comes to men being vulnerable, one thing I tell women is treat it like fire china, treat it like glass. Please do not drop it. You drop it, there's almost no type of glue that's gonna glue it back together. So you have to be careful with a man's vulnerability, and man, you have to be careful who you're vulnerable to. Honestly, don't just be vulnerable to anybody. That's a big ass no. I agree. But Bolo, what's your take on it?
Both of what you guys are saying is completely spot on. When a man is open with the woman and she takes that openness and uses it, he's gonna now start to compartmentalize. Right? He is not gonna open up to her that same way. He's gonna be different. He's not going to move that way. It's like when they tell you, don't touch your butterfly's wings. Why? Because it's so fragile. And as strong as it is, it's so fragile that it'll never be the same again. Even though it may be able to fly, it's not going to fly the way it used to. And you're going to see it, right? It's going to drift. And it's like a leak, right? If you don't deal with that leak, it leaks into different parts of the house. It's not going to stay contained. And this is what's so important, right? We have to start to understand as men, right? And I think this is men and women. We need to start picking better people to have around us so that I can call up Chris crying, yo, bro, listen, man, I'm going through something hard. And he won't look at me as a punk or a sucker and have that stigma. We have to understand that truth given without love is a weapon. Say it again. Truth given without love is a weapon. So I can pull, Chris can pull Bolo to the side and be like, yo, my G, check this out. Your breath is kicking, son. Your breath stink. And because that's my brother and the way he did it, because he prepared the environment for me not to be egotistical, for me not to be prideful, I can deal with the problem directly. Thank you. But if I'm in front of Cowboy and I don't know Cowboy that much, and Chris says, yo, Bolo, your breath is humming, son. Automatically now it's not about the breath no more, it's about the disrespect. So presentation is very important in how we do things, right? So again, as men, as hard as we are, as strong as we are, there are parts of us that are fragile, and we have to understand that. This is why the Father tells you, to forsake not the assembly of one another. Be there for one another. Be empathetic and sympathetic towards one another. To the strong, I became strong. To the weak, I became weak. There's going to be times when, Chris is going to fall. Chris is going to mess up. But Chris just needs a shoulder. He doesn't need to be taught. He doesn't need a breakdown. He just needs to get off his chest what's on his chest. That's what he needs. Once that's done, it's like having a cup, right? If you have a cup filled with water, if you continue to pour water into it, what does it do? It overflows. So what do you have to do? Take some of that water out so that the water you put in sticks. Sometimes cats just got to get that steam off before you can dealing with them and start, rebuilding them. And then I believe women's strength is in their femininity. Because a wife is going to know their husband's weakness. A husband is going to show his wife a part of him that no other man will see. That's just the truth. That's just how the Lord made it. You can't change. There's nothing, there are certain things that a brother can say to another brother that'll get him strong. But there's some things that a woman can say. She'll see Chris being, sad. She's like, yo, you my king. I know you got this. The man that I married is the man that's going to handle it. This dude to go outside and pick up the car and throw it down the block.
Facts.
It's just certain things. So we have to be mindful. We have to be mindful of the people that we have around us, because it's not just your woman that can tank you. It's also the men. Because when I'm broken, who am I counting on to pick me up? My brothers. And if they're giving me the wrong information, I'm going to take that, and it's going to make the situation worse. So we have to be mindful and pick correctly. But absolutely, what you guys are saying is 100%.
Pretty special. But you are 1,000% spot on that one. I appreciate the bar you dropped earlier. Thank you. That bar, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, that's a quote of the day. Truth given without love is a weapon. So if you're gonna touch on someone's vulnerabilities, where's the love at? And a lot of people is missing that these days, because I'm a firm believer that a lot of people don't know what love is. They know what love is based off of what they see outside of the world, and they try to mimic it, and it's not the same. It's not organic. So you're right. No love, everything's a weapon. So
Can I add, Chris? Can I add this?
Sure.
Love is not an emotion. I need people to hear what I'm saying.
Agreed.
Love invokes an emotion. For example, if I was to slap somebody, they're going to want to take my arm off. So it's cause and effect. Because I slapped them, it caused them to want to take my arm off. So love is an action word. When you do certain things, it causes a reaction, a response. So when you have a woman that is a praying woman, a woman that multiplies what you have, a woman that's by your side through thick and thin, a woman that's going to hold you down, a woman that doesn't use what you give her as a weapon, it invokes a loyalty. Because love doesn't mean I'm going to like Chris all the time. Chris ain't going to like me. There's going to be times when Chris and I, Cowboy and I, have an argument and we don't talk for 2 weeks. But if he calls me, Bowl, I need you. Yo, who we going to get?
Right.
So love is an action word. So let's stop falling in love with the action, the feeling of love, and start working towards the action.
That's a fact, and that's a bar. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end it right there. Cowboy, Bolo, I'm honored that both of you guys are able to come up on this platform today, man. Thank you guys so much. You guys are you already know friends of the show. Cowboy, it's like I said, you're part of the you are the team, the enforcer. So you already know you're welcome back here anytime. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, man. No problem.
Thank you for having me, man.
No problem.